I knew I had chosen the wrong grocery cart before I even reached the produce section. But by then, I assumed, as always, it was too late to change. I'd look weak, like I was somehow not equal to the battle. Yeah, I know it was my pride speaking. And we all know which cart I'm talking about. It's the one that looks perfectly normal when you pull it from the neatly gathered gaggle of carts. Gaggle? That is what a gathering of carts is called, right? Well, anyways, as I grabbed the handle, I made a quick check. 4 wheels, yep. A handle, yeah, I was holding it. A basket, appeared to be all in good order. Nothing was visibly alarming. So I gave it a little push. Seemed fine. So, off I go. And then 5 steps into the store. Squeak! I take another step. Squeak! And another. Squeak! By the next step, the squeak is accompanied by the inexplicable wheel wobble. The front wheel, in fact, it was the front right wheel, starts off with a wobble, wobble, wobble. Then the squeak chimes in. Wobble, 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 squeak! Wobble, 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 squeak! Now, a sensible person would turn around. A sensible person would calmly return the defective card and select another one. Apparently, I am not that person. So I keep going. The wobble, 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 squeak was bearable-ish. But then I noticed the pull. Left. Not dramatically at first, but just enough that if I stopped paying attention for 3 or 4 seconds, I would find myself drifting toward a display of avocados. So, I compensated. A little pressure to the right. Everything seemed fine. Wobble, 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 squeak, right. Wobble, 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 squeak, right. Wobble, 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 squeak, right. By the time I reached the bananas, grocery shopping had become an upper body workout. Still, I continued, because now I had produce in the cart. And once you have put produce in the cart, apparently you cannot return the cart. I don't know who made that rule. I don't even know if it is a rule. It seems like it's a rule. Anyways, it seems like it's something that everybody follows. And so at that point, I was apparently, fully, and entirely committed. Now, one might think that I should be committed to, I don't know, some sort of establishment for the mentally impaired. Nevertheless, I was committed to this grocery cart. And things went downhill really quickly after that. The wobble became more pronounced. The squeak became louder. The pull became stronger. Now, I wasn't pushing the cart anymore. I was steering it like I was steering a small ship through 40-foot waves and into a 50-knot headwind. Ahoy! The cart wanted frozen foods. I needed milk. The cart wanted to turn left. I needed to go straight. The cart wanted to announce our presence to every human being in the entire store. Wobble, 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 squeak! Wobble, 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 squeak! Wobble, 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 squeak! People began looking. And, of course, I did what any mature adult would do. I pretended that there was no problem at all. I pretended that I couldn't hear the squeak. I pretended that there was no wobble going on and that the cart was not in any way pulling in any direction. At one point, I passed another shopper whose cart rolled along in complete silence. Effortlessly, straight, all 4 wheels apparently committed to the same destination. I looked at his cart. Then I looked at mine. And there was no question which of us had made better choices in their life. Well, eventually I considered abandoning my devil cart. I really did. But by then, we had history. We'd been through produce together. We'd been through dairy, cereal, frozen foods, the North Atlantic fighting against the nor'easter. And by now, I'd learned that if I applied exactly the right amount of pressure with my left hand while pulling slightly back with my right, I could keep us moving in something resembling a straight line. Sort of. I was not going to let this cart win. And apparently, the cart felt the same way about me. Who knew that carts had feelings? I used to think they were just inanimate objects. Just things to be used. But no, apparently, they have minds of their own, or at least certain ones do. It reminds me of the time that I actually worked for a woman who had horses, and I would muck the stalls. And one time, while I was in mucking the stalls, she came in and she said, "Let me tell you about these two horses. This one seems to kind of have an evil spirit. Don't you think?" And I said, "Well, yeah, he does try to kick me whenever I'm in the stall. And this other one is incredibly calm, right?" I said, "Yeah, very, very calm. Very, very nice horse." She said, "Well, they changed spirits one night." I said, "What?" "Yes. It was storming out. Lightning was striking. This other one is very calm. Used to have that same very devil spirit, and the other one was very calm. And they switched. And now the spirits are reversed." So I thought to myself, as I'm dealing with this grocery cart, I wonder if somehow some sort of spirit switching thing happened. But anyway, I was sure that the cart felt the same way about me. So we continued together. Wobble-wobble-wobble-squeak, right? Wobble-wobble-wobble-squeak, right? Wobble-wobble-wobble-wobble-squeak, right? By the time I reached the checkout line, my left arm was exhausted. The cart was facing northwest, and I'm fairly certain several employees and patrons had been tracking our progress through the store by sound alone. But we'd made it. I unloaded the groceries, paid the bill, pushed the cart toward the exit, and then something remarkable happened. For the first time during our entire journey, it rolled perfectly straight, silently. No squeak, no wobble, no pull. It was almost peaceful, like a tired, tiny ship, storm-battered, and an exhausted crew as they returned to the calm water of the harbor. I stopped. I looked at it, and I'm pretty sure it looked back at me. And there are moments in life when words are not necessary. This was one of them. Although I will tell you, a lot of less good words went through my head. So I pushed it into the cart return, back with its gaggle, and started to walk away. I didn't look back. Okay. I looked back once. And the next shopper was already pulling it out. I couldn't do it. I couldn't just walk away. I turned around and I said, "You may want a different cart. That one needs either a complete overhaul or an early trip to cart heaven." He laughed and took it anyway. I watched him go. Wobble-wobble-wobble-squeak. I shook my head. Apparently, some lessons just have to be learned for ourselves. This has been Saturday Stories from The Quiet Between. I'm Mark Ammons. May your weekend be filled with laughter, and may all four wheels cooperate, and whatever you do, beware the cart from the underworld. Wobble, 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 squeak!